my name is Kayleigh. Today I created this look. If you want to see that happen and learn some of my tips and tricks, then keep watching. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, let's get right into it. So today I'm going to use this palette right here. I don't know if you can see that with the glare of the mirror, but it's the Mikayla X Glamlite palette. And it's really pretty. I've done a few looks with it so far, but nothing too crazy. And I want to kind of do something with maybe the greens and the blues over here. I am just using this Laura Mercier concealer to prime my eyelids. Now, normally I just use whatever concealer I use on the rest of my face. I always pretty much do my eyes first. But I had this Laura Mercier concealer that I didn't love on my face. The biggest reason was it just didn't match my skin tone very well. It's pretty orange. And I've been using it pretty much exclusively on my eyes, trying to go through it. So there's my eyes all nice and primed. Make sure I'm rubbing it in all the way. And I never set my eye primer because I just think that the eyeshadow shows up brighter if you don't set it, but that's just me. I think, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna go in to this color right here. Looks like it's called Loop. It's this like lime green color that has a yellow tint to it. I think it's very pretty. So I'm gonna just run that through like the outside of my crease and bring it probably about halfway in. Again, I don't really have a plan for this look at all. We'll just kind of see where I end up. So whenever I put that color, when I dip my brush into that color, I just tap off the excess and then run it through, and yeah, that's how it's looking so far. I'm dipping back in. So on this eye, I only dipped my brush in twice. And dipping back in again, just to really build it up. I always like to work in small chunks. So just building it up a little bit at a time so you are able to blend it out really well. I think I'm gonna go into that yellow color that's right next to that green that we just used. And that is this. It's called Handy. It's this like pretty bright yellow color. I'm just gonna use this smaller brush. It's still pretty fluffy. So we're gonna tap off the extra, make sure we don't get too much product there initially. And whoa, oh my god. I haven't used this color yet, but if you can see, it is so bright. That was like one little stamp, and like it's so pigmented. I'm not even gonna dip back in yet. Just kind of blend that into the green we already placed out and blend it up a little bit. Make sure all our edges are nice and seamless. That is a very pigmented color. It literally looked like a highlighter, and I barely put any product on my eye. That is crazy. So now I'm gonna go back in with the green and just make sure it's really built up to match the vibrancy of the yellow, and to make sure it is all blended together. So this is where we're looking right now. I think at this point I'm going to use just the same brush that we dipped the yellow in. Just make sure it's not too dirty. And I think I'm gonna dip in to this color, if you can see it. Sorry, this one right here. It is called Freetown. This really like dark like teal blue color. It's really pretty, and I'm just gonna use that to like deepen up our edge over here. And with the darker shades, I really like to go slow, because if you put too much on once, you're gonna spend the rest of the day blending it out. So I like to really start small. And I also like to be really light-handed with these darker colors, so I don't put too much pigment in one spot. I can really blend it out. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing on the other eye. Like I said before, it does not take a lot with these colors, especially in this palette. Like, I'm barely dipping my brush into the color and the payoff is insane. So right now I'm just kind of going back and forth, looking at myself in my mirror, making sure that my two eyes match. I think we're at a point where they are pretty even. I'm gonna go back in with my original brush. There was a hair on it, probably for my cats. The original brush that I was using for that green shade, and just kind of really lightly, I'm not adding any more pigment on the brush, just really lightly going over all the work we just did, and making sure it is seamless. We are now gonna go in with a shimmer shade. So I think we're gonna mix these two shades, this one and this one. That darker green is called Bonehead and the lime green is called Stunnin'. So I'm gonna start with Bonehead, just swirl it in with my finger. I noticed that most shimmer shades, if not all shimmer shades, always work better on my finger, unless I'm doing makeup on other people. I'm just gonna start that in the middle, blending it into our blue shade, and bringing it pretty much all the way in. We're gonna leave a little bit of room, but I want most of the eyelid to be this color, because then we'll have a little bit of that lime green color on the inside and then mixed a little bit with the other one. Oh my goodness, it's obviously not blended in, but that was like one stroke. That is so pretty. Oh my gosh. When we're just gonna overlap them a little bit and make sure that they're blended. I have both shimmers on different fingers and I'm going back and forth with my fingers, blending them together, making sure both are pigmented, and just working with my fingers right now. So I'm gonna add a little bit more on both finger and go in on that other eye. Oh my gosh, that is stunning. As you can see, I got a little bit just right here under my eyes, just a tiny bit, but I don't think it's too bad. So next I usually just rub the rest of the shimmer on the back of my hand or rub it into my hands to make sure as I'm doing anything else it doesn't get anywhere else. So now I am gonna go back in one final time with this green color. I haven't added anything back on the brush. I'm just gonna make sure that those shimmer shades aren't like, there's not a direct line going into that green color. And then I am going to find the brush that I used for that dark color, and I'm gonna add a tiny bit left on the brush, but like bang most of it off, and then just add that a little bit more, make it a little more intense, and also wipe off any of the shimmer that got too far over, because we don't want that. So this is how the eyes are looking. I'm next gonna add eyeliner. I'm gonna do it off camera. I use the ColourPop BFF liquid liner. It's just the shade Numero Uno, I think. It's just the black shade. It's my favorite. It's pretty cheap and it lasts forever. Like, it's kind of hard to take this off, but that means it doesn't smudge. So okay, so I don't think they're even at all, and I don't think I'm in focus at all. We're just gonna go with it. I don't really care. Eyeliner is really hard to do, especially when you're looking in this tiny little mirror. But next we are gonna move on to the face. I always do my eyes first, because I don't have to worry about messing up my face makeup at all. I jump back and forth between primers. Sometimes I don't even use primer at all, but I have a few, and tonight I'm going to use this one. It's from Becca Cosmetics. I suck, I'm so sorry. It's the Backlight priming filter, and I don't think this is necessarily amazing. I don't think it's terrible. I don't really love any primers that I've really used. I do think this one adds a really pretty shine under your makeup. It makes you look really dewy and glowy and pretty, but I also think that's attributed to the foundation I use. But I think this one's fine. It doesn't mess with my makeup at all. I just have never really used a primer that I love. I don't think they do much. Sorry, I'm like, got it on the ear. And always blend down your neck. Never want a line, even with this primer. I guess that's not a foundation, but it's a tinted moisturizer, is this. It's from ColourPop. Obviously, I love ColourPop. Like, everything I use is ColourPop. It's because it's inexpensive, but it's a really good brand. So this is the Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Moisturizer. Mine is in the shade Fair 1N because I am very pale. I don't even think you can get this one in stores. That's how pale I am. So I just squirt some of that on the back of my hand, and if I can find my foundation brush, so I just use a foundation brush, dip it in there just a little bit, and I'm gonna pick up my mirror again and just kind of buff that into the skin. Again, make sure you blend it out. It's not the most high coverage like face product I've ever used, but it lasts the longest and I think it looks the prettiest on my skin. It's not cakey at all, and even after like 12 hours of wearing this, going to work, sweating, like doing whatever you're doing, it still looks like you just applied it, and that's why I love this. Like I said, it's not the most full coverage thing in the world, but I don't need it to be. That's not why I put it on. It just covers up enough that I feel better about myself. So now that we're done with that, I'm gonna go into the concealer that I've actually been using on my face, which is, again, ColourPop. It's the Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Creamy Concealer, and I really like this one. I've had troubles finding concealer, like cheaper concealers that I actually really enjoy, and I like this one. I don't think it's my favorite concealer I've ever used, but it's much better than a lot that I've used, and it doesn't break the bank. So I'm just going to use this obviously under my eyes, and then just to cover up some of my bigger problem spots around my face. I don't like to cover my face in concealer too much because I feel like it makes my face makeup look cakier and just a little less natural. And I know obviously by my eyes we're not going for a natural look, but I like more natural face makeup and crazier eyes and lips. So I'm just gonna go ahead and blend that all out with this cute little concealer brush from Morphe. And as you see here, I kind of go between a little bit of swiping to move my concealer where I want to, and then I do kind of like this like brushing motion and tapping to blend it all out and get it where I want it to go. Tapping is good as it starts to dry down because it's not going to put those brush streaks in your tacky concealer. So I'm going to do that, and if it would focus, I think it looks beautiful. It's obviously not perfect, no makeup is, but I really like it, and for I think it's like $5 or $6, I think it does a pretty good job. So again, as you can see here, I'm swiping to move it all along like the inner part, like up close to my eye, and then brushing downwards to blend it into my cheek, and also tapping to make sure the final product is nice and blended out. And I do that with the rest of where I put it on my face too. So now that that is done, move on to setting powder. I use this Jeffree Star one. It smells really good. It smells like cotton candy, like deliciousness, and I don't use a lot. I normally just use what's like sitting like already in the product. Sometimes I'll grab some more, but I don't use too much. I'm gonna start by setting my eyes because I don't want those to crease. Dip back in for my second eye. And I've had this powder for quite a few years. I mean, okay, not like years, but I've had it for definitely like over a year. And I know that makeup expires. This is not expired. Like, everything is okay. I'm gonna set my forehead, and it's one of the only setting powders I've ever really used because I don't feel the need to buy more than one at a time, if that makes sense. Like, this will last me a long time, so I'm not gonna go out and buy another one until this one's out. And I really like it. I think it works really well with the rest of my products, and it keeps everything locked in place. And it doesn't look cakey, which I always appreciate. So I don't set my whole face. I don't feel the need to. The only places I really get greasy are like here on my nose, around here, and like up along my forehead. And obviously I set under my eyes too so they don't crease, but other than that I leave everything else unset. I also wear glasses. Even when I'm wearing a full face makeup like this, I wear glasses, and so I try to really like set here but not overdo it to the point where my glasses are gonna like sink into my makeup. So I always do bronzer first before I do my blush, just to add that definition in. And right now my face is kind of like a blank canvas, and I like to add that definition back in so I can see where it's going before adding the color and the rosiness back. So I use the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. It smells so good, and it was like $5. Well, it was probably, I think it was closer to like 10 or 15. I don't really remember, but it's really good. And I just used this brush from Morphe, which dried weird the last time I washed it, but it doesn't come like that. So I'm gonna use this mirror here, and I start up here at like right under my cheekbone at the very edge of my hairline, because that's where the most pigment should go, because that's like the most hollow part of my face, right at the back here. And so right after I put that product on my face, I want to start it right there, and as there's less product on my brush, blend down a little bit. So I just do this. I make sure it goes under my cheekbone and then under my actual cheek, kind of in this motion, instead of just dragging it straight down, because then that drags your face down. So I'm gonna add some more product, dust off some extra. Again, I'm starting back here and then kind of blending downwards. And I know it might not look super duper blended, but I promise it will at the end. So now that that side's done, I'm gonna add some more on the brush and do the other side. Okay, so after I do my cheeks, I like to contour my nose just a little tiny bit. So I don't even use a different brush. I just pinch this brush so it's thinner, and I just go directly on both sides of my nose. And it doesn't do much, but I think it does enough to make me happy. I don't need it to be super precise. And then sometimes I'll just press a little bit of the extra on my forehead, but I have a pretty small forehead, and so I don't really feel like it does much. Like, I think it makes it look worse, so I usually leave it alone. And then just blend a little extra down my neck, because I don't think I blended my foundation well enough down my neck. So always make sure you do that. Double check, triple check, quadruple check. I don't care. Anyways, now I'm going with my blush. I only really have two blushes. Well, I have a few, but this is the one I use every day. Again, it's ColourPop. And shocker, before I bought the Physicians Formula bronzer, all I used was this ColourPop one. So this color is Coast to Coast. It's pretty dirty because I use it every day and I bring it with me everywhere I go. So I'm gonna find my blush brush, also Morphe, because I have a few like brush sets from Morphe, and that's the like what most of my brushes are. And it's just this really pretty like mauve shade. It used to, well, you can still kind of see, sorry about that. It has this like flower imprint in it, which is super cute, and I think the packaging is cute, and I love the color. It actually looks like I'm starting to hit pan on this one, so I might have to buy another one, but again, it's like under $10. So I just make sure it's like evenly coated on my blush brush. And this one, it is pigmented, but like you do have to build it up a little bit more. I think just because of the color, it matches my skin so well. So I start that. Again, blush can change your entire face, so you don't want to do this and pat it on the apples of your cheeks like when you're smiling, because then when you drop your face, your cheeks drop, and then this blush is weighing down your whole face. So I like to make a straight face and start where like the apples of my cheeks are when my face is straight, and then just kind of tap it along here. And sometimes I flip my brush to make sure the bulk of the pigment is like in the right spot. And I do it pretty high up, and I do it up along my cheekbone as well. So I do the same thing on this side, and I don't know if you noticed as I was doing the blush and the bronzer, I don't swipe like this, because if you remember, I didn't set my cheeks. And so if you do that, you're gonna get the brush strokes in it. You just tap, because then you're setting your face with the blush and with the bronzer with that powder, but you just have to tap instead of like really brushing it. So I just do little like stamps. And then I also do it up over my nose. I like blush on the tip of my nose. And I'm gonna take this big fluffy brush, also Morphe. Sorry, I keep getting hair in my chapstick. And there's hair in my brush too. I have 4 cats, so. And then I'm just gonna kind of like swirl those 2 products together and make sure everything's smooth and there's not lines for where one thing starts and another thing ends. Here you can see, it's looking pretty good. And now I'm gonna take a step back and finish, or like start to finish my eyes. So I'm gonna take that same brush we used to deepen up the crease. When I do this eyeshadow underneath my eye, I do the same thing usually on the top, unless I'm doing multicoloredness, which, should I do that here? You know, normally I don't do this, but I'm gonna break my own rules a bit. What I was saying was, if I'm doing the same colors on top as I'm on the bottom, I do it the exact same way, just reverse. So I start with the darkest color, which I'm still gonna do, but I think I'm gonna add some purple into this look. I think that would be really pretty. So I'm gonna go into this palette, and if you see right here, this dark purple color is called Frisky, and I'm gonna take that on my brush and tap off the extra, because obviously we know this palette is very pigmented. And I'm gonna start on the outer part of my eyeshadow and start super close up to my eye. Start applying it there and just brush the excess all under my eye, and I just poked my eyeball. We're gonna keep doing that. You know, maybe the purple was a mistake, but I don't really care. Oh, that looks terrible. I promise I'm gonna blend that one. On this eye, you can see it's concentrated here and then blended out. But this, it's kind of concentrated here and blended out, but then like all up in there. So I'm gonna try and fix that. I don't know if there's anything to fix, you guys. But we are gonna add a lighter purple to try and blend this out more. So in the palette, it's the shade MJ. I'm really gonna tap off the extra on my brush and just kind of go over where we already went to try and lighten that up a little bit. So as you can see, this isn't looking the greatest. I don't love this look. I wish I would have just put green on the bottom, but I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a cute little Halloween look. I think I'm gonna finish the eyes up in a sec. I'm gonna do highlighter first. So pretty much every day I just use the same highlighter on my face and on my inner corner. I don't care that much, and mine is a Jeffree Star one. It is this really pretty like rose gold color, if you can see that. I've hit pan like there, I think, and I'm really close here. I've had this one for a while. I really love the color. I think it works really well on my skin tone. And for this, I'm just gonna go in. I'm gonna come a little closer, if it'll focus, so you can see exactly where I'm placing this. So I like to pull it pretty far this way. I think it looks really pretty on my eyes. That's something new that I've been doing. And I always like to blend it in with whatever shimmers on my eyelid. And then we're gonna take a little bit and put it on the tip of my nose and up my bridge, making a little exclamation point, and then blending that out as well so it's not too aggressive. And then I'm just gonna kind of take my highlighter brush and just like swipe it through, and this should be enough for my whole cheek. And then actually it's probably a little too much. We're gonna tap a little bit off. So I start here, go up, and then just kind of like really lightly swipe, and I do up here too in this like C shape. And do the same thing on the other side, swiping it through, making sure it's really blended out And as you can see, that is a very, very pretty highlight shade. So now that my face is pretty much done, I'm going to set it with this really beautiful setting spray. It's one of my favorites. It's, again, ColourPop, Pretty Fresh line, hyaluronic acid setting mist. And this one also smells amazing. It smells like summer and amazingness. And the spray on it is really light. I like to use a lot. And then got it in my mouth. Before that completely dries, I just take my beauty blender, which is dirty, and kind of go over my highlight, press all my powders in, make sure nothing's too crazy, make sure everything's blended in. Now I'm finally gonna completely finish my eyes with some mascara, and I think we're gonna do a little bit of waterline eyeliner as well, just to tie everything together. I'm thinking, would this color be too much? That color would be too much. This really pretty gold color I could do. I think I'm gonna do this bronze. So I'm gonna do this on the waterline, and I'll be right back. I just used this, again, it's ColourPop, I'm so sorry, but also I'm not, because they're great. So this ColourPop BFF Cream Gel Liner in the shade Overboard. It's very pretty. I use it on a lot of my looks. I wanted to use a pretty dark eyeliner for this look because the look is pretty dark, but I wanted to do something neutral so it wasn't overpowering the other colors. And I also didn't want to do black for this look. I think people that say you shouldn't use black eyeliner on your underwater line because it's like not trendy or whatever and makes your eyes look small. I disagree with that because I think you should do whatever you want to do. And sometimes you just want a good smoky black eye, you know? Hi, so I know I look really different. I'm on my iPhone now, so total different setup. My battery just died. I was so close to finishing this. Anyways, sometimes I do run this little brow gel through my eyebrows, and I will for the sake of the video. I don't love this gel, so I just kind of run those through. It does make a little bit of a difference as far as the color. So the last thing we have to do is lips. I decided to just go with Jeffree Star Weirdo lipstick. It's a liquid lipstick. Sorry, I'm like looking myself in the camera. I was very stressed while putting this on. Not because like anything's wrong with the lipstick at all. It's a great lipstick. It dries down matte. It does not budge after you put it on. But that's part of why I was so scared, was because it does not budge once you put it on. I think this whole look turned out amazing. That is the end of today's video. I hope you liked it, and I hope you liked this look that I came up with because I think it looks pretty fabulous and it's perfect for Halloween. Gives me like Monster Mash, like Hulk vibes, you know? Just like Hulk at a Halloween party. So, do with that what you will. I will see you guys later. Bye.